I actually thought about it. If I spoke the language properly, I would apply for presidency. I wasn't planning for this at all. When I first started, I was a magazine owner and I was mainly focused on creating content. And then after that, I think because of the revolution and because of how the market was changing and print was dying and whatnot, I decided to transform the business into a PR agency. So we started with very conventional PR, and then after that, we just became an agency and we're doing marketing and production and events. Right now, we're in a very good position to actually select the client that we work with. We never really promote anything that is not already there. I think a lot of really good quality content and great brands and great people are very bad at promoting themselves. They are more focused on their skill or their talent or whatnot. We don't represent, we're just pretty much spokespeople. Potential. You can see potential miles away. So ideally is to promote for someone or something that really does have a brilliant future but doesn't have the way to expose the qualities that it has. I think we usually go for the challenge. And I know this sounds super cliche and corny, but challenge is really what we want to be working on more than anything else. So seeing something that has not managed to build itself in the way that it should be building itself, and then coming to us and us being, you know, the reason behind that sort of great exposure is our gratification. Whoever knows Azza Fahmy, she's a very humble woman. She's got great stamina when it comes to her work, and she's very, very demanding when it comes to her designs and how her designs need to be positioned. When you sit with her, she's an extremely humble and funny woman, you know. Her perception of life is so inspirational. She used to always tell me, trust me, everything happens for a reason, and good karma is good karma. It's untouched. I was going through a very, very hard time. I was recovering from a lot of business failures, I would say, and she really did help me feel better about myself and what I can do and have a bit more faith, because it's normal that people lose faith along the way. I'm very sensitive to the people around me. I like to observe people. I observe their body language. When I walk into a meeting, for example, I take about 2 or 3 minutes to just check out their body language, their possessions, all of that. I find it very interesting by default. Regardless of why I'm there, I do that in general. And based on that, I start creating content that is relatable to them. I try to diversify my communication, my channels, try to address the little tiny things that I can see, their tics, everything. Honestly, and I swear to you, this happens very naturally. I don't go there thinking I'm going to observe you and then I'm going to destroy you with what I observe. No, I am very much an observant in general. I like to notice things, details. The thing about observing people is that if you have that ability to see through certain things, it helps you develop relatable content. The problem with that is that you become very sensitive to everything that is around you, and then you start getting very disappointed. Here's my personal opinion. Let's just define them for a second. Okay, so an influencer, by definition, is somebody who has influence. Now, the kind of influence differs. So say, for example, you have a fashion brand and it comes and talks to you. You have to use an influencer who has some sort of fashion sense, is trendy, is setting trends. I don't want someone who goes shopping and imitates everything. I want someone who has a vision and has that kind of influence on his or her followers. The thing with influencers nowadays is that you have people who don't really know how to dress, don't really have real followers. I know of a few people who have bought their followers, which means they're influencing ghosts. I'm not generalizing. I don't want to take away from the people who have actually invested in their own brand, their blog, their personality, the way they dress. They've really made this into their own business. I don't want to take away one bit of what they're doing, of their effort. It's a growing culture. But if I were to hire an influencer, I'd pay the person who's actually doing something with their life, someone who is going to sit with his or her friends, say something, and his or her friends are all going to do what he or she says. I have people who have 0 followers on Instagram, but their word is gold. Now we should invest in these people. We shouldn't look at the numbers. We should be very educated as to who their followers are. And this is what we are trying to do slowly but surely. Scouting for people who have impact on society. It's credibility. You have to be a credible person. You have to be known for being selective about what you're liking and not liking. I think the person who influences me is someone who doesn't usually like things easily. When I meet a woman who's confident and mature about her situation, you immediately reflect that on your relationships with people. A certain posture, a certain way of dealing with life. I get inspired by these kind of women. I think it's in my character, and I think this was built mainly by my father. My father is a go-getter. It was like a military in the house. Wake up at 6 in the morning and everybody had to wake up because he was awake and we had to go and do something. I was never spoiled. I mean, I lived a really good life, but I never had the luxury of chilling, not in our household. And this applies to my brother. Even my mother was a very hard worker. I think you imitate what you see in your own home. I don't want to be sidelined. I want people to know me for what I do rather than, you know, the car I drive or the house that I own. I want people to know that I can still be relevant, stay relevant with the work, with the effort that I do. And I think it's much more gratifying, and I think women should really focus on that, is to actually develop your own character in the market and be able to express yourself with whatever way you want. So, you know, if you're an actress, you need to be a really good actress, and if you're in PR, you have to work hard at least to be the best at what you do. And what I strive to be is, I would hope, a role model to my son. He has to respect women. The only way is to see his mother actually working hard and hustling every day, just like his father. It all goes down to my family. Reality shows are made for television, and you can't have reality. Reality can be super boring sometimes. If you were to film someone, his or her day can be very long and meaningless sometimes. Your Monday is not like your Tuesday. And so of course reality shows have to have some sort of element of script or control over the kind of content you're sharing on TV. And yes, reality shows can be scripted. Usually when you're being pitched a show of this kind, they're telling you that we're going to showcase the realities of your day-to-day life and how hard you're striving all the time. But the truth is, there comes a point where they have to make a decision. We need a little bit of drama here, and then we need a little bit of laughter here, and maybe a little bit of love right there. When you do that to people, it can backfire. Big time. And it backfired with me because, first of all, I'm a control freak, so I don't like people controlling my content and how I represent myself. By character, I don't allow for people to put words in my mouth. I was crying all the time. Every time the camera went on, tears. First of all, that's not my life. I don't wake up in the morning and have fake lashes and fight with my husband. That's not my life. My life is way more deep than that, or way more boring than that sometimes. When I took the reality show, I actually genuinely wanted to showcase the struggle of a freshly married couple with a baby in a time where Egypt was going through an extremely tough time. I was hoping that that could give hope to certain people, but that was my idealistic mind frame. The truth is, that's not interesting, I think, for people. The reality show to me was an incredible experience on camera. I learned a lot of production technicalities, but it also taught me that there's a lot of fakeness in life. When you see it on TV, it's horrific. And seeing myself being a person that I don't think really represents me was one of the worst experiences, I think, in my life. Ironically, walking out of the reality show made me hungry for reality. Ever since then, I decided that the way I present myself, talk to people, approach my friendships, deal with my husband, every single detail in my life had to be real. A lot of things, actually. I learned that love can be unconditional, that you can love someone without knowing them. It's cheesy, I know. And that you can keep loving them regardless. Regardless. He'll throw up on your clothes right before going to a business meeting, and you love him to death. This is really disgusting, but that's the best vomit you've ever wiped off your clothes. I learned patience. I have a 5-year-old. He is inquisitive about everything. Everything is one big question. If you don't answer these questions, he could become a little too curious. One other thing that I think has been very important to me is to be very careful about anything you do all the time. I've learned to be very cautious about not hurting anyone because I believe in karma, and I don't want karma to ever affect my son. Many times, in the middle of all the stress and the depression and the anger of your day-to-day life, I look at him and I'm extremely jealous and inspired, of course. I mean, I'm not hating on my son, but I'm very inspired by how little tiny things make him happy. And I think a lot of mothers go through that. We live in an era where you have to be accepted all the time. It's all about how many likes you got, and it's numbers all the time. This all just disappears the moment you see your son just laughing at a bird that pooped on his dad's shoulder. Just thinks this is the best thing that ever happened in his life. I'm a 90s girl. The 90s were all about, let's have real fun. We're not gonna be stuck on our mobile phones. We're listening to music, dressing really weirdly, and, you know, having just a really good, genuine time. And we've completely neglected that. And I think my son has taught me to try to find the real things in life. I think 2 men in my life, actually, I refer back to. One is my husband, in a situation where I'm extremely angry and I'm about to explode. My husband, I think he was supposed to live in Jamaica all his life because he's just so peaceful. I feel like there's Jamaican music playing around him all the time. Every time I want to just slap someone, like, what would he do? He would just be quiet. But everything else, I think I refer back to my father. My father has been truly my inspiration. I'm in total admiration and awe of the man he is, and the man he became, and the man he was, and just his journey is so interesting. Self-made man. Idiot. My life. Hard. Love. I hate it. Cool. Much cooler. I wish. I really wish. Please be confident, and please, please have a career. And life is not just about who you marry and how much your husband has. Become the woman you are meant to be, please.
I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna stop, keep on surviving.